Hello and welcome to another episode of Spotlight Sessions. My name is Ilan Fisher. I'm the host, and today I'm really excited to be having a conversation with Stephanie and Lisa from Allied Therapy. How are you guys going?
Good, how are
Doing
you?
well. Thank you for having us.
It's my pleasure. So, Stephanie, you're the founder and executive director, and Lisa, you're the occupational therapy manager. I'd love to know a little bit about both of your backgrounds and how you found yourself working in the therapy world.
Okay. Beth, you
Sure.
want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I have been a speech pathologist for almost 10 years now. I did my training actually at the University of Sydney in Australia.
Very cool.
Yes, which had led me to a varied background and exposure and lots of different ways of doing things that are done in Atlantic Canada. And then I have worked in Alberta, in rural Ontario, and then moved home to Halifax to work at the IWK here, which is our tertiary 3 hospital. Since then, looking around, I kind of realized that there were some pockets here missing in Atlantic Canada for services and access to services, which led me to I founded Allied Therapy in 2019 early, to kind of address those pockets. What I found was that there were private services here, but no one was really teaming together. No one was really working together. You would have to say a child was diagnosed, that family would with autism, that family would then have to go and find a speech therapist. They would then have to find an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, an ABA consult, whatever that child may need. And it was really a lot to put on parents' shoulders when they were going through new news and learning about their child as they went. So what I aimed to do was create one phone call that they could make, and we would help them with that process. So if a speech pathologist went in first, oh goodness, you're telling me about difficulty with toileting. Well, I don't know anything about that, but I can call an occupational therapist and they can help. And the occupational therapist can go in and say, great, we've got toileting under control, but I just noticed that, running was really difficult. Let's pull in a physiotherapist to work on the muscular imbalance or whatever it might be. And then it can kind of go from there and wrap that child around to make sure that they have everything they need. So that's kind of how I've gotten to this point, but I'll let you speak next, Lisa.
Okay. So I did my OT schooling here in Nova Scotia in Halifax. But pretty much immediately after, I actually moved to Alberta, and that's where I really started my OT career. I was working in the school system with children, like in early learning, so like preschool and kindergarten age, and then moved up to do some upper grades as well. And I was there for about 5 years. And I really enjoyed it because at that time in Alberta, we had such, like Steph said, like a teaming approach. And I really learned about like various areas of not only OT, but speech and language and physiotherapy and kinesiology and all of those really fascinating areas that we work with as a team. When it came time for me to move back home, I felt like I needed to come home and bring this here because I knew that it was an area that Nova Scotia really needed. And I felt like that was something that I wanted to do and be a part of. And I was lucky enough to connect with Stephanie right before I moved back. And we had a conversation about this and our goals really aligned. And next thing I know, we're, a lovely team as a part of Allied. And it was, it's a really fun journey.
So it's really awesome how you both mentioned kind of a similar journey where you recognize that all these services weren't actually bundled together, but rather provided, you would say, just on their own independently. Why do you think that is?
I think that it's how we've been trained, and you have to think a little bit outside of the box to make those connections, right? It's very easy to know what you do and to go out and do that really, really well. And I think a lot of Nova Scotia therapists do that exceptionally well. They do their job well. But I think it takes another step to then realize, oh, I can connect you. I can build that bridge and bring in the other teammate you need. And I just don't know that mindset has happened yet in Nova Scotia before we kind of started to do that extra step of building those bridges.
Absolutely. And in regards to allied therapy, I know you haven't been around for a lot of years, you could say, but what does the day-to-day look like in terms of your role as founder and your role as occupational therapist? I'm sure that's changed in the past couple of years, specifically what the day-to-day can look like.
It really varies.
Yeah.
So we really pride ourselves in working with our clients and listening to our clients, and it might look like speech therapy in a swimming pool or occupational therapy at a local park because that's where the child wants to go and is motivated. It might look at an outing using an iPad, going to Subway to order our favorite sandwich and get that experience with it. I don't know, Lisa, what would you say?
That is a hard question to answer because every day is different and our day depends on what our client needs, right? So, like you said, one day it could be maybe we're working on a goal at home in the kitchen, or another day it could be a community outing. So it's hard to say what the day-to-day is, but I think we can both confidently say that that's what we love about it, is that we get to do what our client needs, and that just feels really good.
Amazing. And you both kind of what shines through in your answers is you both came from an area of where you're really passionate for what you do. So what's an achievement that you're both most proud of, be it at Allied Therapy or somewhere else in your career? Stephanie, you mentioned that you worked in a lot of places, likewise you with Lisa. So I'd be really interested to see what in your career has been something that's been really that flagship moment.
Yeah, I think for me, I touched on it a little bit earlier, is that I was trained in a different part of Canada, and I know that like bringing this new kind of practice and mindset to Nova Scotia that's not commonly practiced here, it's proven to be really valuable for our clients, and they've proved to us that was a need. And, that was a big achievement, I think, for us to recognize that need is here and that we can meet it. This approach has just allowed us for better teaming, like Stephanie had mentioned, and just understanding our clients as a whole.
And I think my biggest accomplishment to date is allied therapy. I mean, I'm so proud of the work we do, and I'm so proud that we think differently. I've worked, you're right, in a lot of different settings, and I've been trained to think very differently and to react a certain way in all of those settings. And the beautiful thing now about allied therapy is that we can, however our client needs us to, and we can think in any way our client needs us to, and so we can be the best version of our therapeutic selves by being free to do whatever's in our scope of practice. I can't speak highly enough about working with occupational therapists and physiotherapists and other speech pathologists, because they all think differently, and it's such a joy to be like, ooh, great, I don't know how that works. What's your training? What's your experience? And then we can learn about what's best for the client and do what's best for them with that. So I said allied therapy, but I think it's the learning that comes with it and the exposure that comes with it. The teaming is so invaluable.
Mm-hmm. And I do have to give a little bit of shout out to Stephanie for creating that environment for us, because I know that also for a lot of professionals in Nova Scotia, that is something that we were all looking for, and that was really nice to have that opportunity.
So Stephanie, I think you mentioned this as well as Lisa in kind of some of your answers, where it's all about meeting the client where they're at. So if the client is comfortable in X situation or in a certain environment or wherever, that's where you'll meet them. And I think that's amazing. And I think that's a really important facet of accessibility is basically making yourself available at every opportunity, making every opportunity available. And this is a question that I leave broad very intentionally, but what does accessibility mean to you given your experiences and line of work, really?
I can start that because basically that's occupational therapy as a whole is about accessibility, right? So our goal is to really ensure everyone can do everything that they want to do, and have the tools to achieve their goals. So to us, I think accessibility means that everyone we work with can have access to and participate in what is important to them.
Love that.
Anything to add, Steph?
No.
No?
I love how you said and everyone can participate in what is important to them. And I was also very interested because you probably you work within your local community and you surely come across businesses and commerce is almost everywhere we go. If you had a message to the business community on how to cater better to people with disabilities, specifically your clients and the people that you support, what would that sort of message be like?
To listen to them, listen to your clients. They will know so much more than you ever could about what they need and about what they want.
Yeah.
Amazing. And really just the last question I have, and this is more of like a question that can bring up across really broad answers, is if you could have a conversation with anybody in the world, who would it be and why?
We had quite a bit of chat, like quite a few chats about this. I would say Mayan Ziv. She's the founder of Access Now, and
I know her.
she's incredible. I've heard her speak. She's incredibly well spoken. She's driven, and she's making real change for Canadians. I think I just want to sit down and say, how can I help? I'm on the East Coast. What do you need out here? What can we do? Because holy tamale, she is making real change. So that would be mine. What about you, Lise?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Nova Scotia is a little pocket of Canada that is, it's unique culture, and I would just love to hear her take. I'm like, what can we do to help here?
I love that. I've also been following her work for quite a while, and she's really brilliant. But as you said, Nova Scotia is a small place, but there's a lot we can take from it and a lot that we can learn. So Stephanie and Lisa, I want to thank you for, first of all the work that you're doing with Allied Therapy, and thank you for coming on to the Spotlight sessions and giving us a little bit of things to think about. So again, thank you for being on the show, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much.